There are projects that build the town's identity, socially, culturally, and/or historically, helping them become themselves.
I'm a Danville native. I couldn't wait to get out of here in 1965. And I came back in 1985, and I said, what the hell has been happening in my hometown?
The economy tanked. I think when textiles went out, when plants closed, and the community found itself really at a bottom point.
Millionaires Row had been basically abandoned.
Danville's history has always been a history of entrepreneurship.
And so I just got to work. I was a Virginia broker, and I started selling those houses, those mansions.
Finding the living edge of history means that we enlist the past to press us into seeking solutions for the future.
Mr. Albert Copland, who is I worked for Barry, which is his son. He ran the store for years. He was Abe's son. That's where the name Abe is. So Mr. Copland was one of the first to hire black employees on the floor. Back in those times, they had, African-American employees, but they were, usually custodians or something, and they didn't actually, mingle with the customers.
Danville is very unusual, has an almost intact structurally black business district. And so now, so it's an amazing story of entrepreneurship under what you would think are the most trying circumstances.
He didn't allow his employees to be mistreated. He wanted everybody to be treated the same, and that's kind of the legacy that I've become a part of and try to continue, because it's important for us to make sure that we have, people who feel like they are represented and treated fairly. I mean, so much is going on in the country, and I think part of it is just, you got to get back to the point where you realize people are human, and the same rights that you want, the same respect that you want, you have to give in order to get.
In that district were a black bank, a black professional building with black doctors and dentists, barbershops, restaurants, a theater, a black YMCA, a black drugstore, all as the result of black entrepreneurship. So that's really a story that should be told.
Even from back in the civil rights time, when people were kind of swaying him to fire his white employees and have an all-black staff, he was just like, that kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do here. So he was a visionary in that way. He very smart man and very forward-thinking, and realizing that it was going to take all of us to make any of this work.
And then I worked on downtown. I've sold a lot of these buildings, and then I got the wildest hair of all. And I moved to Craighead Street down here in 2004, and nothing was there, and I bought a warehouse and created a loft and proceeded and lived there to sell every building almost on Craighead Street to developers, and on Bridge Street. And now there are hundreds and hundreds of young people living downtown.
Downtown Danville is coming back. In the 6 years that we've been here, we've seen the streetscape, Main Street completely redone, the lovely landscaping and the sidewalks, pavers enlarged, lots of new businesses.
It's become an opportunity for entrepreneurs that have a business idea or have a thought of something they want to start. We have spaces where they can come in and give some unique flavor to what a downtown can and look like and what it can feel like.
What they're doing now is a streetscape, which they've done on Main Street in Craighead, just to kind of beautify it and update it, make it look a little more modern. It's been a long time coming.
We've just opened up a facade improvement program to also kind of coincide with that. So we're looking forward to opening up the street, and really the desire is to tell the story about that particular part of our community, to continue to enrich it.
These projects bring out the advantages of proximity, by attracting the passions and skill sets of people who are like-minded in some ways but very different in others, cross-pollinating abilities and personalities.
Our community is extremely diverse, and we need all voices. We need to represent our history, and we need to make sure that everyone is involved in telling that story.
History lovers never laugh at their own towns. They learn about them, and often they spend a considerable amount of time translating the value of their town to others.
We get a lot of aha moments, like, oh, I didn't know that. You know, and that's where the genealogy comes into play. Because when you're doing this research, and it's like, okay, did you know that your ancestor did this? Did you know that your ancestor was on the 1963 arrest report? You know, your grandmother was a hero.
So if you can tell some of these stories in some of these neighborhoods, people see themselves and they see agency, which is really an important thing to see. The people here would be excited to see themselves reflected.
The Virginia Department of Historic Resources says Danville has the best collection of Victorian and Edwardian architecture in the whole Commonwealth of Virginia. And it's a brand, it's an image, and the city just did not, at that time, did not understand it. But they do understand it now. They see the value of what that brings to our city, because Virginia is high on the list for heritage tourism. I'm working with Preservation Virginia. They're coming here in October to have their statewide conference. The theme is our shared history, which is something they've never done at a conference. I've been to a lot of them. And we're going to focus on the Indian history here, and the Black history here, and the European history here.
We're on our way to making this city a city of inclusion and diversity.
In fact, we're getting ready to have Danville's first Gay Pride event, Kaleidoscope, at the Ballard Brewing next Friday night. And I'm not gay, but I am going to be pushing for it, because diversity is what makes life wonderful. It's what brings together the intellect and the thoughts and the passion of the people that are coming here, moving here, or visiting here. And it's just important that we keep making that happen.